Hey Scrappers, Tom from the iScrap app, and today I was just told is Wednesday, October 28th. I thought it was the 26th. I guess I'm just trying to slow things down when in fact time is speeding up. We hope that everyone is doing well, scrapping often, and number one, staying healthy. We know that people look forward to these market updates, which we like to provide every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. If you don't have time to view us when we're going on our live session, of course, you can check us out later on Facebook, or we post the video to YouTube as well. For those of you that don't follow our YouTube page very often, every Sunday we have updated prices from reported prices that have been posted online over the last 7 days. So if you have any markets that you're interested in learning about or prices that you want to see, by all means check out those Sunday videos on our YouTube page. Now, if you have a smartphone, which many of you do, as we see the percentage of users being very high on the mobile smartphone market, you will know that you can get push notifications sent to you either through the Droid or the iPhone, whatever app that you have downloaded. It will give you price updates, big swings. But if you're looking for further information, market tips, and more current and updated news quicker, you can always become a Patreon supporter. With all of that being said, we hope that you're doing well, and with 6 days until the presidential election, we have seen a very chaotic and crazy 7-day period since we spoke last. What have we seen? Well, we saw copper prices a week ago hitting 2.5-year highs, and since then we saw the market drop 14 cents. We saw the stock market really rebounding strong, and this week we've had over 1,400 points in losses off of the stock market. We saw oil shortages where oil prices could have been going up, and then the steel market could have been going up, and now we saw a big surplus in the oil markets, and oil dropped 5%. So this just shows you whatever you expect the opposite, because that's how it's gone maybe all of 2020. That might be the first time I've said this. I don't want to hop on the let's get 2020 over bandwagon, because it's certainly been a good year in many aspects. But of course, health-wise, it's been very difficult. Pricing-wise and estimating-wise, also very difficult. And we're looking at these markets every single day, trying to get a really good grasp on what we think is going to happen. Now, in the next 7 days, we have such a unique period of time where we've been talking about the election for so many months, and here it is 6 days away. Hopefully it's over a week from today and there's not contested states and it's clear enough to know which candidate won. We don't really care about that as much as we do having a more firm idea where the market's going to be going after the election. Both candidates have very different views, and because they have different views, opinions, and plans, both economically, trading-wise, outside world influences, it's going to affect the market in all types of ways, and we'll give you an example. Tariffs are on steel and aluminum right now. Well, if the presidential race goes the other way, we could see those tariffs disappear. Now, we have seen aluminum prices really start to rise for the first time in 2 years as shortages have really started to shoot into the market. And as we watch these shortages attack the market right now, we've seen those aluminum prices increase, which is a good thing. The bad thing is we don't know where we're going to be. We don't know how long those shortages are going to last. We don't know when the tariffs are going to be removed. So there's a lot of different pieces of information that we just don't know. Oil prices. Well, we talked about oil prices going down slightly, but if we have a change in administrations, we could see oil prices affecting steel in a way that I can't even begin to predict. Looks like we have a question.
Well, we have one question from Corey that
Great.
you kind of already answered
Okay.
what the aluminum market looked like.
Yeah.
And then Dominic also asked what the brass market looks like.
Well, Corey, thanks for the pricing on the question on the aluminum market. You know, with the shortage out there, we have seen that increased demand. We've seen sheet aluminum prices between 20 and 27 cents per pound. Then to talk about the brass market, well, brass is so heavily reliant on copper, considering 60 to 90% of the composition of brass is made up of copper. And with the market down 14 cents, like we mentioned, over the last 7 days, we've seen the price of yellow brass dropping as well. We've seen yellow brass prices reported 107, 115, 118, 127, 141. Average price nationally in the 120 range for yellow brass right now. Very strong price. Still, even with the market having that 14-cent pullback over the last 7 days, just look at it on a percentage basis. That's about a 3% decrease. But if you look at the stock market over that time, dropping 6 or 7%, copper really hasn't been too crazy. Today, for example, as I checked 30 minutes ago, the stock market was down 800 points, right? Copper prices were down 4 cents, then down 2 cents. Now they're about even from where they started the day. So that means that people are still confident in the manufacturing industry, confident in consumer demand, even as we see different reports coming in from updates for different companies that have been posting their quarterly earnings. Some of them have been a little disappointing, but still we see very positive progress on the manufacturing and consumer demand side of things, which have pushed some of these prices to very strong and levels right now. Steady levels, I should say. Level sounds a little funny. So these markets still are going in a very good direction. Thank you both for the questions. Now, with those oil prices dropping, we've seen the price of gas really falling. And one of the big things that we have seen through the natural gas, the fracking, the oil boom inside of the United States over the last few years is very inexpensive gas. I saw a study recently that said that gas prices are down over $1 per gallon from 4 years ago, 2 different administrations. What does that say? That means that not only has the United States become energy dependent, but they've been exporting energy of all different types, and that has kept the price of gas down. We saw different polls. I saw gas price the other day, $1.79, $1.93 per gallon. So seeing these prices low is a good thing for the gas pump, and you have to think about the trade-off. Do you want steel prices to be really high or gas prices to be really high? You can't really, pick one or the other and say, oh, I want steel prices high, but I want gas prices low. Of course, that's what you want, but wants and actual happenings are going to be very, very different. When the gas prices are higher, it costs more money to move things, so transportation is more expensive. Now, transportation right now is already more expensive because of the work from home and the shop from home demand that we've seen across the United States. Now, when we look at a lot of the things that are going on with COVID, a lot of the things that are going on worldwide, we see Europe in a very similar, if not worse, position than the United States. Same thing in the Middle East. And all of these different markets, while they're in worse positions from our research point of view, health-wise, they're still continuing to consume and use materials. That's why when you look at a country like India, continuing to bring materials, steel, copper, aluminum, into the country for development and smelting purposes, that means the demand is still there. Yes, we've seen European lockdowns going into effect, which will have a temporary restriction and impact on the market. But once we're able to get over the hump, kind of round the curve as we hear all the time, right? And we get the vaccination going in and we start to see more market pieces dropping into place, we'll have a much better idea where the markets are going to be, not only after the election, but 3 to 4 months from now when we start to pull through the winter. Don't forget, we're going to hit November 1st this weekend, so 2 months left in 2020. 4 months from now, you're kind of in February, March, and the world will start to, kind of get really past that curve, vaccinations put into place, and we'll start to see a much more secure market moving forward. Now, our friends over at rrcats.com have been updating us on the prices of palladium, platinum, and rhodium, and we've been talking about different news articles and cycles that we're seeing in the catalytic converter and refining market. Now, the team at rrcats.com buys large quantities of catalytic converters from all over the country, refines them, and gives you a better idea where the markets are. Now, with these market prices dropping over the last couple of days, that shouldn't be a surprise considering the entire stock market and a lot of demand has changed. But one thing that we look for is the electric vehicle market right now. With the lithium and the ultium and all these different batteries really ticking in, it's going to affect some of the prices moving forward. Now, with only 2% of the cars being sold right now, electric vehicles, and Tesla a large margin of that, over the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see new manufacturers, we're going to see existing manufacturers like GM and Chevrolet building more electric vehicles, but on top of that, with more restrictions going into place, companies that are producing gasoline vehicles and diesel emitting vehicles are going to be forced to create better catalytic converters that have more precious metals inside to trap some of those toxins from going into the environment in a much more efficient way. What does that mean? Your car prices probably will go up because they're going to push that price increase to the consumer, but you're going to have catalytic converters moving forward that are going to have more rhodium, more platinum, and more palladium in them. What we're looking for is supply shortages, which haven't really hit yet, although we have seen very strong markets in really all of 2020 outside of the month of March, where a lot of crazy things were going on and the world didn't really know where it was going for the next week, day, hour, minute, because everyone was so scared with COVID really hitting and starting the course that we've seen over the last 7 to 8 months. Now, we watch these markets every day. Many of you know that we own a scrapyard here in New Jersey. We are buying and selling material. We work with rrcats.com for all types of catalytic converter quoting. And if you have jobs that you're interested in learning about or getting advice on, you can always go to our Scrapper group online. On that group, you're going to be able to see people talking about dozens of topics every day, from copper prices to cats to whether or not they should take things apart or not take things apart. On our weekly report that we write, we always highlight one post that we saw through our social media throughout the week. This week, it was a gentleman asking about if he should take apart a trailer or sell it as is. And within one day, 80 comments were posted, giving you such great insight on how people work together to help others make money and learn from their mistakes, or also from positive things that they've learned. It looks like we have a couple of questions, which I'd love to take.
Brian asked, what is number 1 and number 2 bail?
Are we talking about steel, Brian, or are we talking about copper? If we're talking about steel prices right now, number 1 prepared is in the $160 to $215 per ton range. Number 2 steel right now is about $30 a ton less. Another question, Virginia?
Kind of a comment.
Okay.
Something that maybe you can
Elaborate on, maybe?
Yep.
Sure.
Andy asked, it's getting bad down here. They're cutting cats off of cars in people's driveways.
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk about how, secure and
Sure. So
things are.
So catalytic converters have become a very hot talking point recently because they're unfortunately relatively easy to steal. Now, the team at rrcats.com wants you to know that we do not buy catalytic converters without all documentation from different individuals. So if you're looking to sell catalytic converters to us, you have to provide your state-issued ID to be able to get paid or have material released. Now, for the catalytic converters that are being stolen right now, you need to be able to look at law enforcement and know that they have a lot on their hands across the entire country. Advice and opinions: if you're parking your vehicle at home or you've heard about neighbors or friends having problems, there are relatively inexpensive smart cameras that you could put on the side of your house looking at your vehicle to be able to protect yourself. Some people have some of those smart doorbells as well, and those are just a different layer of protection that you could use and we've found to be helpful in our own lives. Cameras always give people an idea that they're being watched. On top of that, having some lights that are attached to it or nearby will also help. Now, with the catalytic converter market really at a very strong level, even with the declines that we've seen over the last few days, we're really looking forward to quoting you through rrcats.com. And at iScrap, we always love hearing comments. We love getting your emails, love seeing your YouTube posts, love seeing the conversations posted through our social media sites, on our Facebook pages. We love the dialogue. We really draw from it. We're able to create our own content for you with these weekly reports to try to cater to your needs and answer questions, of course. Don't forget, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. we like to go live here at iScrap. So if you're tuning in at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, you can check us out. If you don't get to us, you can always rewatch the video, see some clips, or if you're just looking for a quick report, our weekly report really gives a nice recap on where the markets are in all different ways, shapes, and forms. Don't forget, if you have an iPhone or a Droid, download the iScrap app today. Of course, it's free. It's free to download. It's free to post prices. It's free to learn about information. And by posting your prices, it gives you and other scrappers the ability to know and learn more about the markets. By having those push notifications sent to you, you can learn about where the markets are, big ups, big downs, or even just so-so changes during the week, and it gives you a much better idea on what's going on. Scrappers, this is Tom from the iScrap app. Today is Wednesday, October 28th, 2020. We encourage you to go out and vote next week in the presidential election. Whatever candidate you choose, just know that we want your vote to be counted, and hopefully a week from today or 2 weeks from today, we'll have a much better idea where the markets are moving forward. Any other questions? Post your comments or your questions below. And until next week, scrappers, go vote, stay healthy, and we'll scrap you later.